Aloha everyone and welcome to the Hawaii Pacific Gerontological Society's January webinar. My name is Mapuana Ta'amu. I am one of the board members for HPGS and chairperson for these webinars. I wanted to start by introducing the chat box available to us all. If you toggle around your screen, you'll see an icon of a chat bubble with the word chat under it. Click that button and you'll enter the chat room where you'll be able to submit questions or comments throughout this presentation. Questions will be answered during and at the end of this webinar, so please feel free to send in your thoughts, questions, concerns, personal experiences, anything regarding functional fitness. If you aren't already, please consider becoming a member of HPGS so that you can stay updated and invited. There are various rates for individuals, organizations, and associates. Here are a few benefits that you'll receive with membership. We have monthly webinars where our members are eligible to be a speaker. We have monthly newsletters that we send out to members. You're also welcome to submit articles to be published. We do send it out statewide. We have members on every single island. We give special invitations to our general membership meetings. There's other kupuna related events, not just on Oahu, on Maui, on Kauai. There's workshops that we also invite our members to attend. Maybe Catholic Charities has something coming up. So if you are a member of an organization, you have something coming up, you can always send it in to us and we'll include it in our newsletters. We also offer scholarships to help anyone of any age pursuing education in the field of gerontology. Even if you're going to a certified nurse aide class, we do have a scholarship for that. We award $500 and we have a max of $2,000. So 4 people can apply every year and receive tuition assistance for CNA classes, as well as undergraduate and graduate programs. So you can check out more information by going to our website at hpgs.org. I'll bring it up here for us. All right, so here we are at the website. If you are becoming a member, here's the membership tab at the top. Click that one. It'll take you to an invitation to join. So a bunch of benefits that we offer throughout the year. And then at the bottom, if you want to see membership benefits, we have a PDF file there. Otherwise, you're ready to renew or join. All right, so here we are, more benefits. You can join through mail it to this address. We have a PDF form that you can print out and complete, send it in with your payment, or we also accept online memberships. So using a major credit card, we have a PayPal checkout at the bottom. And here are the annual due options. So if you have any questions, you can always email us at hpgsmembers@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Other than that, we do have our monthly webinars. Last year we did 12. So on our website here, we have our archives. You can check down here in the webinar tab. There are November, Aging in Place, October, Navigating Medicare, September, all the way down to, let's see, November of 2018. So check back here later on. We will be recording this webinar today, January, and posting it to this website as well. So if you like what you see, you want to show it to your friends or family, you can refer them to this page. We have a bunch of information from experts in the field. Members are also welcome to host or present for our webinars. So lots of benefits there. And the last one I wanted to point out is our conference. This year, we have our 2020 biennial conference on every even year. So 2018 was our last conference. We will be sending out more information to our membership. Members receive discounted rates for attendance or exhibitor booths, sponsorships, and so forth. Let's see what else. We have an awards ceremony that we'll be presenting on. And if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or attending, you can always email me at hpgsmembers@gmail.com. So that's our website. Let me take you back to the PowerPoint. Let's get down to business. We have gathered here today to talk about functional fitness. Thank you to those that have used the chat box already. I appreciate your knowledge of the chat box. We would be taking any questions that you have now throughout the entire webinar. So at any time, please chime in using the chat box. Let's see. Now, I'm sure many of you are maybe a senior who choose to age in place. You might be a caregiver that may need help finding activities for your loved one to do at home, or someone that would like to know more about functional fitness for yourself. Today, I've invited a special guest with lots of knowledge in this area. Our guest speaker is Debbie Kim Morikawa. Debbie is the owner of GYMGUYZ, an in-home personal training franchise. Her degree is in occupational therapy, and she has spent the majority of her career in the fields of health and human services. She was the administrator of the first assisted living facility to open in Hawaii and has worked in all areas of long-term care. She served as the director of community services for the city and county of Honolulu under Mayor Mufi Hanneman, and was the first lay director of IHS, the Institute for Human Services. She is the Pacific Century Fellow, a Weinberg Fellow, and a certified Matter of Balance instructor. Debbie's entrance into the franchise world with GYMGUYZ has afforded her the opportunity to combine all of her past experiences and knowledge to help improve the quality of people's lives through fitness and health. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you folks to Debbie. Thank you for being here, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Mapu, for inviting me today and to HPGS for sponsoring these webinars each month. It's great to be here. This is my first webinar, so I apologize if I'm not as techie as some of you. It's really hard to look at a camera in front of you and talk. I'm used to doing more live presentations. Anyway, today I'm talking about functional fitness, but before I actually get into the exercises that we're going to be doing, I want to talk a little bit about who it is that we work with. So at GYMGUYZ, we see people of all ages. However, we have chosen to specialize with people who are more frail or have mobility challenges. And that's why I'm focusing today's exercises really more for people who aren't able to get out and about. I think most people are familiar with the kinds of exercises you typically would get in a group class, and some of these are like that. The reason that I included quite a few exercises, I don't know if we're going to have time to go through all of them, but I really wanted to at least have a variety of things to show you so that you can pick and choose. It's really important that we stay active, and the American Academy of Sports Medicine has basically said that excuse me, I think I'm losing my voice, is that exercise is like medicine. And we know that it's good for us, and yet the problem is that we never take the time to do it. We always have excuses as to why we don't have the time. And even though we know that we need to stay active, one of the things that we're finding out now is that sitting is actually considered an independent risk factor for chronic diseases. And that's kind of scary. Some of the studies have even shown that even though you exercise regularly, so you may be really buff and regularly exercising your 3 to 5 times a week for 30 to 50 minutes, but still, if you're sitting for periods of 8 hours a day, it's still a health risk factor. And so you need to get up and move. And so some of the exercises that we're going to be talking about today are really going to be about how you can intersperse these get up and go movements in your everyday activity while you're at home, while you're at your desk, while you're at work, so that you can make sure that it does not become a health factor for you. Okay. Some of the hazards of sitting are that it lowers your metabolism. It actually slows your metabolism down 90% if you've been sitting for 30 minutes or longer. Your blood sugar levels go up as well as your fat levels. It increases your risk of back pain. Up to 90% more pressure is applied to your low back when you're sitting versus when you're standing. And I forgot, good cholesterol drops 20% after you've been sitting for 2 hours or more. So sitting is really hazardous. It's very easy to just get up and move. They've even found that physical inactivity was found to be a factor in a number of different diseases, which is kind of scary. coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, breast cancer, and colon cancer. And it is the cause of 9% of premature mortality worldwide in a study that they found in 2008. So today, as I mentioned before, I'm talking about functional fitness. Now we're not in the camera. So I'm talking to you about functional fitness. One of the things that we emphasize a lot at GYMGUYZ is form and posture. So anybody who's come to any of my presentations or who's met me at one of the health fairs knows that the first thing I ask is, okay, so do you think you have good posture? Let me take a look at you. And we evaluate people. So we want to look to see if people have a neutral spine. So what is a neutral spine? If you look, and I think I can actually use this cursor. Wow, how cool. Okay, so if you look at the spine on the left, you can see that there's a curve in through the neck. It comes out through the upper back, and then it comes back in again at the low back. So when I look at people, I look at people from both directions. So in this case, I have one of my fitness coaches, Malen, and I took a profile picture of her. The rule of thumb is that you're aligned from the side view if your ears are over your shoulders, over your hips, and over your ankles. So you want to have a straight line that goes all the way down. Now in Malen's case, if you look at her back, you want to see also whether or not she has the natural curves that are supposed to be there. In her case, her back is a little flat, so she doesn't have the curves that she should have. But other than that, her alignment is pretty good. If you look up by her ear is a little bit in front of her shoulder, so she has a slight forward head, but almost all of us have that. Very few people have perfect posture. And with today's technology, how everybody is looking at smartphones, we're typing on computers, we're reading, we're eating, we're always bent over. So it's very difficult not to have a forward head. So you need to chuck your chin back, pull your shoulders back in order to not have that forward head and rounded shoulders. Now, the one thing I want to point out here on Malen's profile is where the yellow arrow says soft knees, you'll see that her knees are slightly bent. If her knees were straight, she would look like this diagram on the right where the line would go right through her knees. But she's kept her knees soft on purpose. And the reason for that is we try to get people to stop locking their knees. It's a natural tendency. When you stand up, people lock their knees because what it does is it's a physical lock and you don't need very much muscle activation to hold that position. And so people lock their knees because there's less energy that you expend. One of the bad things about locking your knees is the same thing. You don't expend any energy, it means you're not exercising your muscles. And if you don't exercise your muscles, you think while you're standing, you're getting some good muscle movement, but you're not. So we recommend that everybody unlock their knees. The other thing is that when you lock your knees, your lower extremity, you immobilize your lower extremities. And it's very difficult to move in and out of positions. And so it's almost dangerous for seniors to be doing that because if somebody were to just tap them, they would just topple over. So we recommend that everyone, for the purpose of exercise, as well as for the purpose of making sure that you have good posture, try not to lock your knees. Okay. In this, this is the
video part?
Yeah.
Sure.
So in the video, pretty much we're just kind of going over the same thing that I was just explaining to you, but we're just looking and evaluating Malen's posture in a more close-up picture. So essentially, one of the things that people tend to do is when they're trying to put their head back in alignment with their shoulder, I don't know if you can see this, but they tend to do this and tilt their head back. It's actually more of a chin tuck and shifting your neck back. What we want is basically for you to open up your shoulders. So when you're sitting, making sure that you open up your shoulders when you're sitting, make sure that you maintain those normal curves. Now, some of the exercises and the posture tips that I'm going to be giving are based on what most people's tendencies are. However, keep in mind that everybody's anatomy is a little bit different. So some people like Malen and me, we have flat backs. Other people have really curved backs. And when you have a really curved back, you're going to want to do the opposite. You're going to uncurve that back. So,
well, right. And then we have one question. Can we do a question
Sure.
before we show? So the question is, would sitting on a ball help? And what would you recommend for desk workers?
Okay, so sitting on a ball is a good core exercise because you have to balance on that ball. So you're using your core, your abdominal muscles, as well as your back muscles to keep yourself up there. The challenge with sitting on a ball is that you have to be good at maintaining your neutral spine in the lumbar area. Because if you're not careful and you just slouch down, then you're putting a lot of pressure on your discs. So you want to make sure that you're sitting in an upright position and trying to lean forward just a little bit so that your feet are flat on the ground, or at least positioned well on the ground so that everything can be in alignment. And then the other question was the...
the second part?
Yeah.
What do you recommend for desk workers?
Okay, so some of the exercises that I'm going to go over are for desk workers, and it's going to be just things that you can do at your desk. I'm going to save that though for when I have the video because it's a little bit easier to see. It's hard for me to demonstrate anything right here.
Okay, so
but thank you for the question.
Yep, and if anybody else has questions, there is a Q&A box and also a chat box. So if you're familiar with either one, I'm checking both. So we'll check out this video, and if you have any questions, just please send them in.
Okay, so the reason why I focus a lot on posture is because even though you may exercise and train with us 3 times a week, we're going to the video. Okay, all right, so with Malen, as you can see, her back is pretty flat. She doesn't have those curves that she's supposed to have to help protect her, her discs and the compressive forces as you're walking and moving around. But what we're looking for here is the fact that from her shoulder down through her hips, it is all in alignment. And then from there, we're going to go from, I think it stops. So again, we're looking from her ears down through her shoulders, through her hips. Her knees are slightly bent, which is good, and down to the ankles. So that's when you know that you're in neutral. You can pause. Oh, no, I'm just gonna. We can just stop it and go out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. And then we can go back to the PowerPoint, and we can look at the frontal view. So from the front, what we're looking at is making sure that we're aligned. So if we were to draw a straight line across, you want to make sure that one shoulder's not up and the other down. You want to make sure that one hip's not up. And so as you can see on the left, that's an imbalanced spine. And most of us have a little bit of that going on. What you want to make sure of is that you're aware of what your imbalances are. Because if you're not, there's a good chance that because of gravity and behavioral habits, we're going to lean into those tendencies, and that postural abnormality is going to get worse and worse. So I tell people, before you start any exercise program, you want to make sure that you know what your neutral is. When you get into your neutral, you're going to say, that feels really weird. And it's going to feel weird because most people do have very poor posture. So what you want to make sure of is you get in front of a mirror, relax, close your eyes so that you can get into what you normally stand in, and then open your eyes and look at yourself and see, okay, so do I have one shoulder up? And if one shoulder is up, I don't want to lift the other shoulder up. I want to push the shoulder that's high down. If one hip is up higher than the other, then I want to try to shift my weight over. So as you can see in the picture with Malen, she is leaning a little bit onto this side. So her hips are slightly shifted over to this direction. And you can see by the space here that her left shoulder is a little bit higher than the right. And you can also see it in her arms. There's this space here because she's kind of leaning over to the left side. So you probably wouldn't have noticed those things when you first looked at her picture, but yeah, she's a little off, like we all are. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just if we don't start correcting it, what happens is uneven forces are being placed on the joints. And what happens is they're going to be uneven wear and tear. And that's where you get basically the degenerative joint disease, where there's a lot of wearing down on one side of the joint because there's uneven forces. Okay, so the other thing that you want to make sure of is that you have good range of motion and joint mechanics. So making sure you have the neutral spine, that you're balanced out. You want to make sure you have good range of motion. If you don't have good range of motion, then what's going to happen when you do certain exercises, if you're not careful, is other joints or parts of your body are going to compensate for that lack of range. So if I can't raise my arm up more than this, but the exercise calls for me to go all the way up, I'm going to do this to try to get my arm up. Instead of raising my arm and leaving my body still, I'm going to compensate. And if somebody's not paying attention to that, then you're not getting the benefit of the exercise. So those are the kinds of things you want to look for when you're checking out your range of motion. You want to just make sure that you can move through all of the ranges for the exercise. And if you can't, just make sure that if you do something like this is your end range, that you don't overcompensate and try to get farther than you actually can. The other thing that you want to kind of test out is whether or not you have balanced muscle strength. Most of us are a little bit stronger on one side than the other, but people who've had a stroke or have had some type of surgery or injury, they may be a lot weaker on one side. And if we're not trying to strengthen and balance out those muscles on the weaker side, again, your body is going to get used to being dominant on one side, and it's going to throw your posture and alignment off. So be aware of what those, I'm shivering, sorry. It is so cold in here. So just be aware of the dynamics of your body. The next section that we look at for functional fitness is your core stability and strength. So fitness exercises should focus on your core. And when we talk about core, it's not just your stomach, it's your back muscles as well. It's all this central area through here to be able to stabilize yourself. So it's about core stability, trunk stability. Strength is also really important. Strength is important because when you hit the age of 50, you lose on average about 1% of muscle mass every year. That doesn't seem like a whole lot initially. 1% is very small. So you don't really notice it. And that's the scary part. Because you don't notice it, you don't think anything's happening. But for an older person who's been sitting and jumping up, going around and doing things, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I have to pause first and push themselves up. That's the first stage. But then you adapt and you think, oh, I'm just getting old, and you ignore it. And you keep going through these iterations of loss of muscle mass until that one day where, oh, wow, it's really hard to get up from this chair. So that's the reason why you need to do resistance or strength training, because you are going to lose muscle mass. It's inevitable unless you do that type of training. The other thing that is important about strength and resistance training is that it's a way to strengthen your bones as well as grow or at least maintain your muscle strength. Balance and agility is another area that we focus on a lot with seniors, because balance is something that we tend to lose over time as we get older. As we get older, we become more sedentary. We take less challenging activities on. So we don't ever exercise our balance skills. Balance is a skill, and if you don't use it, you will lose it. So it's like riding a bike. Well, the first time you rode a bike, it was very hard. But then after a while, okay, now you got the hang of it. But if you were to ride a bike again as you're older, it's like, whoa, it's not the same as when you remembered it when you were young. Even though you knew how to do it, you've lost that skill. So you need to exercise your balance skills. And that means that you have to move, that you have to challenge yourself in different positions. You need to find safe ways to challenge yourself, but nonetheless, you need to challenge yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to respond or react to when you're placed off balance. Agility. If you were to trip and fall, your ability to protect yourself is your reaction time. And if you don't have speed of movement, then you're less likely to respond in an appropriate manner to protect yourself from a fall. So again, a lot of the exercises that we try to work on are for both balance and agility. Cardiovascular endurance is one exercise that everybody's familiar with. You know, the American College of Sports Medicine always throws those numbers out. You should be exercising at least 150 minutes a week, and it should be a moderately vigorous exercise, which means not casual walking. You've got to be kind of moving along where you're getting short of breath. Very few people exercise at that level. Doesn't mean that it's not, that just a little bit isn't good for you. But one of the things that you may want to consider is learning how to do what we refer to as high intensity interval training. People wouldn't necessarily think of it for seniors, but what it is it's actually just working to your maximum capacity for a short burst of time. So it could be 30 seconds, it could be 1 minute, depending on what you're capable of. But you're going to go all out for that short period of time, and then you'll do an exercise that will have a 30-second to a 1 minute, or maybe even 2 minutes, depending on how vigorous it was, of a recovery period. Exercises like that really get your heart going. Getting your heart going means that it's pumping. Your heart is a muscle, so it's being exercised. Not only that, if you're going all out and doing a total body exercise, all of your muscles are working. So cardiovascular conditioning affects you in two ways. One, your heart muscle. It gets stronger and more capable of pumping out blood to the rest of your body. The muscles in your body that lift things, go from sitting to standing, move things, those muscles become more efficient at taking up oxygen because now they're used to doing work. So your heart doesn't have to work as hard. So you have the ability to improve your cardiovascular condition in several different ways. So, I forgot I had these slides. I'm so sorry. So, for core stability, as we talked about, strength and resistance training is really important. Balance and agility. Hawaii statistics state that falls are the #1 cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries. 50% of seniors who fall will end up in the emergency room, and of those that go to the emergency room, 35% will never go home. That's kind of a sobering number. So we want to prevent falls. Now, preventing falls is a whole nother presentation topic in and of itself, and we don't have time to go over that today. But I do want to point out that one of the 4 pillars of preventing falls is beginning a regular exercise program. The other 3 are making sure that you check with your health provider to look at your medications so that none of your medications could be causing any symptoms that might make you dizzy or create some loss of balance. Having your vision checked. People don't often think about the fact that vision sometimes affects our balance. And if you can't see things, even more so. Making your home safer by removing trip hazards and looking at your home environment to make sure that there aren't any unsafe conditions. So exercise is at the top of that list. So please, again, we're going to be talking about a lot of different exercises today. I hope you take a few of them and try them out on your own and just be diligent about doing them during all of your breaks. So, what function for us means is your ability to sit, walk, climb stairs, lift, or carry. So regular exercises, they might strengthen your biceps, they might strengthen, and I'm going to show you some of these exercises. They might help you teach you to do an overhead press or internal, external rotation. I have a total body workout that incorporates that. However, a lot of the exercises that I recommend that you do are really more functional exercises. And that one functional exercise that I'm going to show you is the squat. The squat is probably one of the best exercise, or a modified squat, I should say, one of the best exercises for you to practice and get good at. It's not an easy exercise when you're first starting out if you've never done it, and it takes a lot of practice. But it's a good exercise to help you improve your function in your everyday life. Most of the exercises that we're going to cover today are very mild. So they're very low intensity and don't really require a warm-up. In fact, most of the exercises could be considered warm-up exercises. But I do want to point out that if you are going to be engaging in any type of vigorous activity or vigorous exercises, it is important that you do warm-up exercises first. What you want to make sure of is that your muscles are warmed up, that the blood is circulating throughout your body, that your heart is pumping, and that your joint fluids, the synovial fluids in your joints, are warmed up so that they become a little less viscous, so then they can allow your joints to glide more easily. We recommend dynamic stretches as a good warm-up. In the past, people used to do a lot of static stretches. So static stretches are where you hold a stretch for a long period of time or a longer period of time. Dynamic stretches are where you move your body through the full range of motion. And by the movement, you're getting your body warmed up, but you're also slowly stretching out your muscles. Light cardio is just, again, like marching in place, going for a brisk, a mild walk before you start into your brisk walk. So those are the types of warm-ups that you can do. See, I'm not good at PowerPoint either. So, as I said, these are the types of dynamic stretches and light cardio that you can do as warm-ups. And there is no more slides. Okay, so let me go to, I don't know what happened to it.
If you have any questions at this time, I see we have two.
Okay.
So we'll check the questions before we proceed.
Actually, that was the last slide. Sorry, we're going to the video now.
What? Okay, come on. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so one of the attendees asked, I have a back strap that goes across my back, under my arms and shoulders to improve posture.
Yes.
Oh, cool. I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this? There were many good reviews on Amazon.
Okay. So it's like a figure eight device, and basically it pulls your shoulders back. The thing that I just warn people about is, yes, it can hold you back. And if you're really rounded all the time, if you're using it to cue you that you feel it so that you're straightening out, it's a good tool. If you're just letting yourself push against it, what you're doing is you're facilitating your pec muscles to pull down on it. So if, as you feel it, you're having to fight against it and pulling down, those muscles will get tight, which will cause further rounding. So you just need to make sure that you're using it properly. So as a cue that whenever you feel it touching you, you pull your shoulders back. And when you're just relaxed, making sure that they don't come rounded, that they can at least hold you in neutral, so the back muscles can kind of tighten back and hold you in neutral a little bit better. So
awesome.
That's my 2 cents.
All right, and another question. At age 71, what ratio or percent of exercise regimen in cardio, weights, flexibility should they engage in at 71 years old? Is there a suggested formula based on age?
No, you know what? We don't use age as as a guideline for anything other than sometimes we need to use it for our calculations on body fat, muscle mass. I have a 100-year-old client, and we're doing power walking with him. That's what I call it. He walks with a walker, but I sandwich him between his walker, and we walk as quickly as his legs can take him down the hall. There are other people who are in their 50s and they've had a stroke and they can barely walk with a walker. So age is really not the determining factor. It's really more your physical condition. It's whether you've exercised throughout your life or if you've been sedentary, and whether or not you feel comfortable doing exercises or if you would prefer doing activities to keep your body in shape.
All right. So if anybody else has other questions or comments, please do chime in. Otherwise, we will take you to the next video, which is behind this.
So as I mentioned, the videos that I'm showing, and I don't even know what time it is.
It is 12:05. We have approximately 35 minutes.
Okay. So we probably should be able to get through all of the exercises if I don't talk too much. But I'm going to just go through each one because this will give you kind of a menu of different things that you can do at home that are very basic, that can get you moving. One of the things that I really, really encourage people to do is that when you're at home, that you do move. Remember, I talked about how sitting is considered a health hazard. If you sit for longer than 30 minutes, your metabolism is going to drop. So if you've been sitting for 30 minutes, make sure you stand up. And this is a good exercise to do. Just some high knees. Bring yourself up. Remember, we talked about posture. So we want to make sure that you maintain the alignment from the shoulder down through the hips, that you're not rounded over, that you're keeping yourself in that neutral posture. We're now in the slow rotation. So with the slow rotation, and I'm going to stop it right here and talk about it a little bit. So the first one was the high knees, where we were just straight lifting our knees up as high as you can go without rounding out your back. So that's good as a general warm-up. If you can do that pretty easily, then we want to throw the arms in. You'd be surprised by just pumping your arms how much more energy you expend, that after you do it, you're going to be slightly short of breath. Even if you only do it for, let's say, 20 times, like 10 times on each leg. So what you see Mylène doing here is not only just pumping her arms, she could pump them straight up and down, but I asked her to do it in a rotation. And the reason we do it in a rotation is because one of the things we tend to lose as we get older is the ability of our body to rotate or turn. So our spines get very stiff. And you know, if our spines get stiff, it's going to be a lot harder for us to reach for things without losing our balance. And it just makes life a lot more difficult. So this helps to maintain that rotation. Now, if you feel like you're really good, then you're going to see that, it's the wrong one. So no, it's don't worry. I wondered where my modified butt kicks title went, but it went to here. So she's doing slow, and then she speeded up her rotations a little bit later. So you can go at a faster pace. This is my modified butt kicks. So butt kicks normally you would do where you would actually kick your butt. That's why they're called butt kicks. But for an older person, what I tell them to do is put a chair in front of them, put it in front of your sofa like I have here, and lean forward. So as you can see, Mylène is leaning slightly forward. There's an angle down here. And the reason for that is you want to be exercising these butt muscles. That's the whole point of doing a butt kick, is to contract your glute muscles. So that means that when that leg lifts up, it has to go behind the leg that's staying down. And so when you're kicking back, you can see her leg is going behind. So she's definitely exercising her glute muscles. Okay, and then the next exercise is okay, so this one, and I'm going to slow it down just a little. Okay, so what we talked about with Mylène earlier was that she has relatively a flat back, so she doesn't have that normal curve that you would in the low back. So this exercise with straight legs was actually really good for her, because of what it really caused her to do was to try to arch her back to again regain some of that curvature back into her spine. This is a kickback that actually is less difficult. All you have to do is lift your foot back until it touches the sofa. So you can just tap. But again, you just want to make sure that the knee, when it goes back, is going to be behind the other knee. As you can see there, it's going behind. And that way you're still exercising your glute muscles. Leaning forward a little bit also helps to make sure that your leg stays behind. This one, I guess all my titles didn't come through, are abductor exercises. So this is hip abduction. We tend to not use these muscles very much, and yet these are very important muscles for when you walk. So in order to walk, you have to first abduct and then swing your leg forward. So we like to do these exercises and as part of our routine. This is what I call a farmer's carry. I don't know what happened to all my titles. I did have them in there. But as you can see, what all I'm doing is I'm grabbing a jar of laundry detergent, picking it up, and walking across the room. So I'm going to go back if I can. There you go. Okay. So what you saw with the laundry detergent bottle is that it's like a kettlebell. So you don't have to have any kind of special weights. You can take your laundry detergent, make sure that it's full, or at least add a weight that you can handle. And then grab that laundry. Now you watch, I'm going down and coming up with my back straight, using my legs and my glutes to try to keep that alignment and strengthen those muscles. Then I walk across the room, swinging my arm that's free. And then again, good posture and alignment, and I put it down. Now, I don't know if you saw that, but my head was tilted. Remember, I was telling you how sometimes we tilt our head in one direction without even realizing it? So the farmer's carry is a really good exercise to do in your home. When you get to one side, you can put it down, switch hands, pick it up, and walk across the room. Put it down, do something else, come back to it, pick it up. The reason why the farmer's carry is a good exercise is because it exercises your oblique muscles. You have to fight against gravity because the bottle is pulling you one direction and your muscles have to pull you in the opposite direction to keep you straight. So by staying straight, you're exercising your muscles. So it's a nice way to exercise some of your core muscles. Someone asked me earlier about what people could do at their desks. So this is a desk exercise that I highly recommend. We call it a figure 4 stretch. So as you can see, all you're doing is just pulling your heel up onto your knee, and your hand is on your thigh. And if you watch, what I'm doing right here is I'm keeping my back straight, but I'm just leaning forward with a straight back. And that's really important. I like to think of it as pushing my stomach into my thighs. So I'm trying to recreate that arch in my back and trying to lean forward. If you do that, the place you're going to feel it on this leg is right along here. Most people feel it in their IT band. It's coming right along here. Some people, if they're really tight, might feel it in their adductors. Some people, their knees won't come down that far. The knee will be up in the air up here because they can't get it down. But the reason why this is a good exercise is because it's very easy to do at the desk. Most people will not sit and stretch. It's like, oh, I don't have time to stretch, or I don't have time to just wait and sit. You get too impatient. But this is an exercise that, as you can see, when you're at your desk, all you need to do is pick up your leg and hold it there, then work at your computer. Try to remember to keep yourself upright. So let's go back and stop. So you want to keep yourself upright while you're at your computer with your leg up. Don't worry if as you're typing you start to forget and you slouch a little. Just remember every once in a while, oh, Got to straighten up and hold. So what you would be doing with that exercise is not only stretching out your hip muscles, you're going to be stretching out and, you're going to be strengthening your core and postural muscles. It is really hard to talk nonstop. Okay, this is another stretch that I really like. So this one is a hip flexor stretch. The other one was kind of stretching the back and sides of your hip. Because we sit so much, and this actually has audio to it, so I don't know if it'll work. Let me try it. Okay, it doesn't look like the audio is working. Okay, so with this particular stretch, what you're seeing is that we sit a lot. And when we sit, the hip flexor muscles get shortened. So this exercise helps to stretch out that muscle. Belen is very tall, so she had to put her leg down and actually put her leg forward here and lean a lot in order to get that stretch all along that front. So what she does is she stabilizes by putting her hand on the couch, brings her knee down, walks her left foot forward. She's keeping that good straight alignment in her back. And then she's leaning forward to stretch this muscle in front here. Okay. Now, Malen was tall. For me, I'm short, so it looks a little bit different when I'm doing it. I'm not going to lean as much forward. I'm going to lean backwards. And now I'm getting that stretch because I'm stretching out this way. So I'm getting the same kind of stretch, but it looks different on me. So you've just got to kind of take a look at what it is that you're trying to do, and it may look different on different people. The important thing is that you're doing it in good form and that you're maintaining all of your neutral alignments. This next one, and actually all of these had voice, but I guess none of them are going to come through. So this is spinal rotation. Remember I told you that that exercise where you pump your arms in rotation is really good for you. This is an exercise specifically in sitting that you can do to try to stretch out your spine. So what you're going to do is sitting upright, pulling your stomach in, you're going to turn to one side, and you're going to try to look all the way back and stretch out the muscles through your spine. As you can see, if you keep your head forward, then I'm also getting more spinal movement. So if I turn my body all the way, I'm not getting much movement in my cervical spine. But if I hold my cervical spine, my head, in one position, and I just move what's in between, I get rotation through here as well as in my low back. So all of the spinal column gets that rotational force. Oh. This is another stretch that I really like because we tend to get tight in our sides. Bringing your arm over your head. Some people, they aren't able to get their arms up. So this is a real good exercise to try to stretch out your triceps because they're down all the time. They get really tight. Sometimes it's the triceps being tight and it's the deltoid that is weak, that doesn't allow the arm to come up. So you can help yourself push your arm up, and then you'll feel that stretch all along the side. This is an activity that we do a lot with our seniors. You would be surprised, because there's no voice, I'm going to stop. You would be surprised at how many seniors are afraid that they're going to fall. So they're seated solidly. So if you look at me right here, I'm solidly on the chair. Sammy's going to have me lean forward. So my back is straight. We ask people to see straight. And she's just asking me to lean forward. So as you see, I'm leaning forward. Even if I were to drop straight down, I would still be in the chair because my feet are propping me up. So if I were to lean forward, I would just go down, but I would still be in the chair. I'm not going to fall. But so many seniors that we work with, when they start to go forward, as soon as they get to this point right here, they start to tell me, oh, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, and they'll stop. They stiffen up. It's that stiffening up that usually causes a lot of people's feelings of imbalance and falling, because the body becomes afraid. What's happening is that your brain is playing tricks on you. You've gotten so used to thinking that if you lean forward, you're going to fall. You don't want to lean forward. So your brain has now told you, don't lean forward because you're going to fall. So every time you get that forward motion, your brain's kicking in that signal saying, don't move, you're going to fall. So we have to retrain the brain. And this is an exercise that helps to retrain that brain. What happens is you start to lean forward, and because they're not thinking about leaning forward, they're thinking more about trying to touch the hands to the trainer. They're more likely to go farther than they would if I were to just ask them to lean forward. So as you can see, I can go forward pretty far and I'm still in the chair. This is a very important movement pattern, because this movement pattern is what's going to allow you to use your legs to stand. You need to be able to lean all the way forward, where your shoulders are going to be over your knees, because if they're not over your knees, when I stand up, I'm going to fall backwards because my center of gravity is backwards. In order to stay forward, I need to be in this position, come up, and then from there, I can stand up and straighten out my back. So you want your hips to be firmly on the chair so that you don't slip out. You want to be centered where your center of gravity is through here. So all you have to do is push up on your legs and you're standing. Your arms are forward as a counterbalance. And people, when they start to do this, feel very balanced. Okay, let's stop. Okay, this next exercise is the one that I was referring to before. It's a modified squat. Squats, as you can see, are really important for getting on and off the toilet, in and out of a car, in and out of a chair, even picking up stuff from the floor. So if you can do a squat, there are a lot of functions that you'll maintain for longer periods of time. Now, when you do a squat, the important thing to remember is that the knees never go in front of the toes. So this block here is showing where the tips of her toes are. So when Mylène goes down, her knee never comes to this block. She always keeps it behind the block. The weight should be felt on the heels right here. It shouldn't be on the toes. So as you're going down, you should be trying to keep all the weight in your heels. Now, when you first start out doing this, you're going to feel like you're going to fall backwards. That's why the arms are in front of you to help give you a little bit of counterbalance until you get a little bit better. Once you get better, you don't have to hold your arms out in front. You can actually put them in your lap and just do some squats as you're sitting in front of the TV. So as you can see, Mylène is going to go down, keeping her back. Her ears are in alignment with her shoulders and her hips straight. And if you look at her thumbs are facing forward when she comes back. A lot of times when you see people standing, you'll see the backs of their hands. That means that their shoulders are internally rotated. When you're walking, you always want to try to turn your thumbs so that they're facing forward. That means that you're getting your shoulders back into neutral. So, you see me in front of the couch? That's exactly what you should be doing. Before you sit down, every time you get up off a chair, before you sit back down, you should do 5 squats. That way, you're getting that movement that you need. If you've been sitting for 30 minutes, stand up and do 5 squats. So, it's a really good, somewhat total body exercise. This next one is what I really consider a total body exercise. And it's a good one for posture as well. We call this a wall sit. So first of all, we're just looking to make sure that Sammy is in good alignment. So as you can see right now, there's some space between her head and the wall. So she's going to have to tuck her chin in and push her head to the wall. You want the shoulders and the butt to be touching the wall. Now, Sammy has a pretty significant curve in her low back. So with her, she's actually pushing her back, her stomach into the wall to flatten her back. If someone had a flat back, like I do, or like Mylène does, then she would put an arch in, and we'll see that as we go through this. So the shoulders, you want them against the wall. You want to pull the shoulder blades back and down. You don't want to be doing this and scrunching up to your neck. You want to keep your shoulder blades down. And as you can see, Sammy had to have her head pushed back. Now, if somebody has an arch in their back, you want them to flatten the stomach here. But if someone has a flat back, you're going to want them to arch their back here. Now, the next part of the exercise, once you get into that flattened position, is you're going to take a few steps forward so that you can go down into a seated position. So this exercise is exercising the front of your thighs. Those are your quads, and those are the muscles that you need to help you to stand up. So you're going to walk yourself a little bit forward. And again, the knees should never come in front of the ankles here, or actually in front of the toes. Okay. I think probably it should stay behind the ankles. If you feel any pain or stress in your knees, I'd recommend that you stop and go up a little bit higher. You should not feel pain or discomfort in your knees. It may mean that you're just going down too low. Then in this position, again, you're going to hold. And if for you to hold that position, you're really exercising your core. You're exercising your quads. Now, if you take 2 water bottles and you put them in each hand, now you've got some resistance. With your elbows at your side, what you're going to do is you're going to do those external rotations. Now, again, external rotation is what's going to open up your chest and keep your shoulders back. So we start out with the external rotations, keeping the elbow flat against the wall. We got to watch her head, though. Her head, ears need to be over the shoulders. She has to make sure that she's watching to keep her head back. And she keeps forgetting to and bringing it forward, and I didn't cue her to put it back. So the next one is bicep curls. The bicep curls, again, are very simple. Coming up, you're going to squeeze and slowly come down. All the while keeping your shoulders retracted and against the wall. We recommend that you count while you're doing these exercises. And the reason counting is so important is because it means that you're breathing. We have a lot of people that they're focused so much on the exercise, they forget to breathe. So by counting as you do it, then you make sure that you are taking the breaths when you need to. If you can't go up to do an overhead press straight up, then just go as high as you can. So as an example, if you're going to have to go in front of your body, then I don't recommend you go that high. I recommend you just bring it up to this high. What we don't want to do is we don't want to put any strain on your back. Okay, so those were the exercises.
If you folks have any questions, please send them in now. So a lot of these exercises are great for home. And I'm so appreciative for you to be here, Debbie, today to let us know what we can do for ourselves or for our elders. Even if you're somebody who works at a care home, facility, that'd be great if you could incorporate these exercises. I know some of these might require one-on-one, like this up and down motion, but what you can do with your residents would be amazing to incorporate some of these exercises as well.
So those up and downs, you saw initially that Mylène had a chair in front of her. Mm-hmm. So you can either do those up and downs at a countertop or you can do them in a chair. I know the one exercise that didn't show up in there is I encourage people to do a single leg stance. So when Mylène was lifting her leg up, we like people to be able to balance on one leg, so it's not in there. Okay. So you want to be able to lift your leg up. So at the counter, let's say you're at the sink. I strongly encourage everyone to do this. When you're at the sink, stand up tall and just lift one leg up. Remember to keep the leg that's on the ground slightly bent, not locked, and see if you can count for 30 seconds. If it's easy for you to do, then just stand there while you do the dishes. So again, you're getting some dynamic movement in there. You're recovering from those changes in posture. So you're working those balance muscles that will help you recover from a fall. So standing on one leg is a really good exercise. If you can't, so I have a lot of people that can't lift their leg up off the ground. I tell them just hold on to the sink until you get your foot up. And then once it's up there and you're balanced, pick one hand up, okay? Once you've got that one hand up, go up until you're on your middle finger and just hold on with that one little middle finger until you can actually start tapping that middle finger. I don't know if you can see me tapping there, so that, you know, you're actually staying up on that one leg for a little bit of time. I wanted to focus on one last thing. I know we're running out of time. I have a lot of people that, ask me about what they should do when they see someone starting to lose their balance, meaning they're starting to stagger a little more, or they stutter when they get up. When I was practicing as an occupational therapist, we used to tell people, if someone looks unsteady, make sure that someone's always around when they get up from a chair or when they have to walk. What I didn't realize at that time was we're really limiting someone's physical mobility at that point. When we tell someone, don't move unless there's someone there. Mm-hmm. So if they were to go to the bathroom and come back on their own, and now they're just going to wait, or maybe they were going to go get a snack and come back, or maybe they were going to just stand up and stretch their legs. You're telling them now, don't move. Sometimes that may be even more detrimental than the risk of a fall. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying from now on, I would really evaluate first before you tell someone to stop doing something, whether it truly is hazardous as much as losing their complete mobility. Because if someone sits most of the time, they will forget how to stand. I have a lot of people like that. They spend so much time in their chairs that they don't want to lean forward because it feels uncomfortable. When they push off from that low area, they've lost the muscle strength and the coordination to get themselves up, and we have to teach them. And the reason I know that it's a skill that they've lost is because within one session, I can get them to do it when they absolutely could not on their own. So it wasn't strengthening, because you can't strengthen muscles that quickly in one session. It is retraining the body to do what it remembers how to do, or what it forgot how to do. So it's just a word of caution. We should try not to limit people's physical mobility until the point where it is really unsafe. Have someone evaluate. So have a professional evaluate, your parent or your loved one to see what is safe for them to do. And yes, definitely, if their balance is impaired and they are at high risk for falls, they shouldn't be getting up on their own. That's when you're going to need to do some of these exercises with them, or to help them prop themselves up in a position where they're safe to do it on their own, like at a sink or at the bathroom counter. So it's important for them to get into that weight-bearing position, because without standing on their feet and getting that weight going through their body, they're not strengthening their bones and they are losing muscle mass. The other thing that I wanted to comment on is, does it make a difference what type of exercise you do? And yes, it actually does. Any exercise is good for you. However, we call this functional fitness because we like to teach people exercises in the patterns that they're going to need to use in their everyday lives. Because one of the things that happens is somebody who comes in is only going to be there for maybe 1 hour, 3 to 5 times a week. What happens to all those other hours in the week? What are you doing? If you're not practicing good posture and mechanics and doing something physical, there probably is not as much benefit as you're going to reap from the exercises. So what we want you to be able to do is to be able to do exercises throughout the house. That's why the farmer's carry with the laundry jug is really useful, because it's something you have to do. Reaching, maybe you just reach a cabinet, just going up and down. up and down. That's a good exercise. Going up on your toes. Some of these I had in my video, but it didn't show up. You know, going up on your toes while you're standing at the counter. These are all exercises that are weight bearing, that if you have a good hold of a counter, you're pretty safe doing, even though you may be unsteady getting up and off a chair without some assistance. The other thing about getting up and off a chair is that once you start to learn how to do a squat properly and you start to learn about how to leverage your body, you're going to be able to do it very quickly. A lot of people, like I said, within one session can relearn some of the skills they lost, and by practice, they can start getting up from even low chairs. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention about exercise being different is that when you do certain types of exercise, they may be for a certain purpose. So that's why people who train for marathons train very differently from people who are training for sprints. It's a different type of training, different type of muscle activation. So as an example, if you have to do stairs, if you're just walking, that's not going to necessarily help you to go up and down stairs. So going up and down stairs, you need to do some type of a push off to strengthen yourself on one leg. You need to remember that when you walk, standing on one leg is part of walking. In order for that other leg to lift up and swing through, you are standing on one leg. So if you tell me that, oh, I can't stand on one leg, that means you're at high risk for falls every time you walk, and that's not good. So if you feel like you're kind of unsteady when you're standing on one leg and you're still walking without using any assistive device, it's a sign that you better start doing some of these exercises. Okay, I think I'm all talked out.
All right. So once again, if you have questions, comments, please send them in via the chat box or the Q&A box. That works as well. But I'll talk a little bit more about HPGS. I just want to thank you, Debbie, for being here today. And to helping us figure out what we can do at home to help ourselves. I didn't realize how important posture is until this video. And I was going to ask you about the bones, but I know you're not a chiropractor. So I have a rolling foam, a
foam roller.
Right, okay, a foam roller that I use when I go to the gym.
Yes.
And my back cracks all the time. Is that good for my posture? Is it realigning my back? Do you happen to know?
Well, so I do go to a chiropractor, and I've asked that question of my chiropractor because their whole practice is about getting your spine back into alignment, and you hear lots of times those popping and cracking sounds. So what he told me was that when he does his corrections, he never does the same spot. He always moves to a different area, because he said that, yes, because that's what I always thought, is that if you keep cracking the same spot, won't those ligaments get loose, and then you're going to create some hypermobility of that joint? And he did acknowledge that, yes, that does happen. So that's why you don't want to keep cracking it at the same spot. So like for your back, if you're doing it on your own and it's always the same spot, that's not necessarily good. So you need to try to make sure that you understand why your back is going out of alignment. And sometimes it takes years, because I've been going to Bradley for a long time, couple years, well, for me, a couple years now. And it took just one session for him to help me get realigned, where for years, I was always having these spasms. So there are a lot of people who experience pain and they have spasms. And sometimes it's because your spine is out of alignment and there's nothing that you can do. The one thing that I found is really helpful when you do have a tight muscle is don't ignore it. Get a tennis ball, put it on that muscle and press into it. Do that hard point pressure until that pain kind of gets a little bit less, and then it'll stop seizing on you. And if you keep doing that over and over, the muscle will eventually loosen up and you won't have that kind of pain. If you let it stay tight, it's going to take longer for it to loosen up on its own.
All right. Thank you. That was a very comprehensive answer. I very much appreciate that, though.
You can't ask me answers. I go on too much.
That's a good thing. So I guess there are no questions, but before you go, I did want to let you know what's coming up next for HPGS. We are looking for webinar speakers. So let me turn it to me. Thank you, Debbie, for being here. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Right now I'm in Hogwarts, so it's kind of interesting. Attention Plus is very festive. Their executive director loves Harry Potter, so they decorated their conference room with Harry Potter themed things. There are even fake candles hanging from the ceiling, so I can show you that if you want. But otherwise, there is our general membership meeting coming up on January 23rd, which is next week, Thursday. It's in the morning from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. And we are featuring caregiver resources and education. I'm pretty sure Gary Powell will be talking about his support groups as well. So if you're a social worker, this would be great because we can learn more about what our community has to offer to our clients or residents, wherever you may be working at. Or just to get information as a caregiver yourself. We do invite Kupuna to attend our general membership meetings. If you are not a member, you can become my guest and come for $5. Otherwise, we have membership open on our website, 24/7, of course, because it's online. And you can register to become a member and attend for free. Other than that, I'll say that you're my guest and you can come for $5. Don't tell Sherry. But I do hope to see you folks at one of our general membership meetings or at our next webinar. We do them every Thursday on the last Thursday of every month from 11:30 to 12:45. So members are welcome to become a speaker. You'd contact me at hpgsmembers@gmail.com and we can set that up. Other than that, I don't see any questions or chats. So thank you folks for attending today's session, and I hope to see you next month. Bye.